Regulations. Listing regulations have been subdivided into two parts, that is, substantive provision incorporated in the main body of regulation, procedural requirement in the forms of schedules in the regulations. Board of Directors. Regulation 17. Composition of board. The composition of board of directors of listing entity shall be follows. The board of directors shall have optimum combination of executives and non-executive directors. At least one woman director, not less than 50% of board shall be composed of non-executive directors. Provided that the board of directors of top 1,000 listed company determined on the basis of the market capitalization as at the end of the immediate previous financial year shall have at least one independent woman director by April 2022. A chairperson of an board of directors is a non-executive director. At least one third of the board of directors shall comprise independent directors, and where a chairperson of a board of directors is not a regular non-executive chairperson. At least half of the board of directors shall comprise of independent directors, provided that where a regular non-executive chairman person is promoted to a listed entity, a regular non-executive chairperson is promoter of a listed entity or related to another promoter or a person occupying management position at the level of board of director or at any one level below the board of director. At least half of the board of director of the listed entity shall consist of independent director. For the purpose of this clause related to the any promoter means if a promoter is a listed entity, the director other than independent director, its employees or its nominees shall be deemed to be related to any promoter. If a promoter is an unlisted entity, its director, its employees or its nominees shall be deemed to be related to them. Provision relating to independent directors are not applicable to Section 8. License, that is non-profit companies. MCA notification 5th June 2015 issued under the 462 of companies, that is the board of directors of the top 2000 listed entities with effect from 1st April 2022 shall comprise not less than 6 directors. Age limit. No listed entity shall appoint a person or continue to directorship of any person as a non-executive director who has attained the age of 75 years, unless a special resolution is passed to the effect, in which case an explanatory statement next to the notice for such motion shall indicate the justification of appointment of such person. A board meeting and information to be given to board. The board of directors shall meet at least 4 times a year with a maximum of cap of 120 days between two meetings. The quorum of every meeting of board of directors of top 2000 listed companies entities with effect from the 1st April 2022 shall be one third of the total strength or 3 directors, whichever is higher, including at least one independent director. Review of complaints report. The board will periodically review the complaints report of all the law complaint applications to company prepared by the company and steps taken by the company to rectify the instances of non-compliances. Evaluation of independent directors shall be done by the entire board of directors, which shall include performance of the director and fulfillment of the independent criteria as specified in its regulations and their independence from the management. Provided that above evaluation, the board director who is subject to evaluation shall not be participate. Maximum number of directorship regulation 17A. The director of an listed entity shall comply with the following condition with respect to maximum number of directorship, including any alternate director that can be held by them at any point of time. The person shall not be director in more than 7 listed entities with respect to April. Person cannot be director more than 7 listed entities. I've asked from the with respect to April 2020, provided that person shall not serve as an independent director more than 7 listed entities. Notwithstanding the above, any person who is serving as a whole-time director or managing director in any listed company shall serve as an independent director in not more than 3 listed entities. Explanation. For the purpose of the regulation, the count of number of listed entities on which a person is a director, independent director, shall be only those whose entity shares are listed on the stock exchange. Restriction of number of membership. Regulations 26. Director shall not be a member more than 10 committees or act as a chairperson of more than 5 committees across all listed entities in which he or she is a director, which shall be determined as follows. A limit of the committees on which director may serve as a public limited company. Limit of the committee on which director may serve as a public limited company, wherever listed or not, shall be included, or other companies, including private limited companies, foreign companies, high value debt listed entities, and companies under the Section 8 of Companies Act 2013 shall be excluded. For the purpose of determining the limit, the chairperson or membership of the audit committee and stakeholder relationship committee shall be considered. Every director shall inform the listed entity about the committee's position he or she occupies in other listed entities and notify the changes in when they take place. Corporate governance requirement with respect to subsidiary companies of listed companies, Regulation 94. Any list at least one entity or one independent director on the board of directors of the listed entity shall be director. At least one independent director on the board of director of a listed company shall be a director on the board of director of an unlisted material subsidiary, whether incorporated India or not. The term material subsidiary means a subsidiary whose income or net income exceeds 20% of the consolidated income or net worth respectively of the listed entities, and its subsidiaries of an immediately preceding accounting year. The audit committee of a listed company shall also review the financial statements in the particular of the investment made in the subsidiary company. The minutes of one board meeting on unlisted subsidiary shall be placed in the meeting of board of directors of listed companies. Management of unlisted subsidiary should bring the notice of the board of unlisted listed entity a statement of all significant transaction arrangement entered into by an unlisted subsidiary. The management of unlisted subsidiary should bring to the notice of the board of a listed entity a statement of all significant transactions and a statement of all the arrangement entered into by an unlisted subsidiary's explanation. For the purpose of the regulation, the term significant transactions or arrangement shall mean any individual transactions or individual arrangement that exceeds or likely to exceed 10% of the total revenue or 10% of the total expenses or 10% of the total assets or 10% of total liability, as the case may be, of the unlisted subsidiary of an immediate preceding accounting year. A listed entity shall not dispose the shares in a material subsidiary, resulting in reduction of its shareholding, either on its own or together with other subsidiaries, to less than or equal to 50%, or seize exercise the control over the subsidiary without passing a special resolution in general meeting. However, no such special resolution shall be required in the case where such a divestment is made under the scheme of arrangement duty approved by the court or tribunal under the resolution plan duly approved by the Section 31 of the Insolvency Code, and such other event disclosure to the recognized stock exchange within 1 day of a resolution plan being approved. And the event is disclosed to the recognized stock exchange within 1 day of the resolution plan being approved. Selling, disposing, and leasing of assets amounting more than 20% of the assets of a material subsidiary on an aggregate basis during the financial year shall require a prior approval of shareholder by way of special resolution. However, no such special resolution would be required in the case where a sale, disposal, lease is made under the scheme of arrangement duly approved by the court or tribunal under the resolution plan duly approved by Section 31 of the Insolvency Code, and such an event is disclosed to recognized stock exchange within 1 day of a resolution plan being approved, wherein a listed entity have a listed subsidiary which is itself a holding company, where a listed entity has a listed subsidiary which is itself a holding company. The provision of the complaint shall apply to the listed subsidiary insofar as subsidiaries are concerned.